So grenades in general.
So we're going through the evolution of grenades.
Yeah.
Sam, you were talking about one of these, weren't you?
I have.
Spirally.
It is an ERAS.
I've never actually used a grenade in game, and the one time I did, the grenade didn't work.
Oh.
So from that experience, I've just gone, nah. It was one of those strike grenades that you.
Yeah.
Except it didn't go. It just broke because I think I Lennied it. I struck it too hard.
Knowing you, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and the thing is, carrying it around in your pockets. I've seen Final Destination. I'm just like, I'm not carrying pyro on me because I'm going to fucking burn myself.
Yeah, probably.
And it's going to go off in my pouch on me, on my personal thing, without me actually using it. So, because I'm a bit of an idiot, I'm staying well away from pyros because I'm just scared, essentially.
Well, you've got kind of three different types of pyro, haven't you? You've got, well, not pyro, grenades. Let's just go grenades.
Start in the world of grenades.
So you have the even more basic version of this gas one.
They'll be fine, I think.
Some of them, like you said earlier on, you've got the ones that have got flashing lights and make a really loud, piercing sound. Yeah. They're more a distraction device than anything else. Yeah. Then you've got the really cheap sprung-loaded clamshell things that you just put your BBs in there and put together. When they hit the floor, they spring open and have about a 2-foot radius. Then the gas ones, which they used to be massively popular, and you fill them up with gas and you put the BBs in. When you drop them, it releases the valve and spits all the BBs out and they spin. They're your entry level.
Yeah, that's beginner level, isn't it?
Isn't the idea of that though that it uses the force, because that's the ejection port, isn't it? So for the camera, that's the ejection port, and the idea is that it's circular inside. So as it's ejecting, it forces
causes it to spin. Now the only problem with that is, unless you essentially yeet this at the floor, it doesn't go off. So you've got to. And you've got to almost straight directly down. And when you do, it shocks a ball bearing on the inside. That ball bearing pops off, lets the gas out. That then forces all the BBs out. They're just not massively reliable.
So when you're playing on a soft grass...
Yeah, if you're playing on grass or something like that, it's not going to go off.
No.
And considering everything is underarm only, it's not like you can throw it at a wall next to somebody.
It might be effective in a field if you knock someone up.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the time it's effective outside. But if you want range, you want one of those.
You can't use them anymore, though, can you?
You just can't use them anywhere. But yeah, these things are 150 BBs in about a second.
Nice.
In one stream. And if you, for anybody not looking at the camera, this is a 40 mic, banned pretty much everywhere on every site in the UK. Not banned to own, but banned to use at sites because they will just fire 150 BBs in a straight line. There's a couple of people that have, when they've seen this, gone, shoot me with it.
And then instantly regret.
Well, it's not too. This is the thing. If with this distance away, if you're like within 10 feet of somebody, it's going to hurt. If you are out at 25, 30 feet, it doesn't really hurt. Because they do wander a little bit. It's not like you're being drilled laser beam. Yeah, it's not laser beams. These, in fairness, were designed to be distance, used at distance. They then did the master mic, which the nozzle in the end, when they fired, the nozzle would turn, so it would spray them out in like a big circle. They're fine, you just can't get hold of them. But the one good thing about this is, like with my M16 with the 203 launcher on it, because I've got the long barrel on there, when you put this in, when it goes off, it sounds suspiciously like an A10 Warthog when it goes off, because it just goes... And that's it. The noise alone, if you were living in an airsoft setting, I reckon people would just be like, what on earth have you just fired at me? But these are your kind of non-pyrotechnic grenades. And then that then leads into the pyrotechnic stuff, which is you've got single use or reusable.
Yes.
Which are the ones with the primers? I've seen people carry.
Yeah, that's your reusables.
That's the reusables.
Essentially, you have two types of reusables. You have timed, where essentially with this, you unscrew the top and you put either a 209 primer or what's actually in this, That's 209 primer, or you can have a 9mm. Although the 9mm are becoming harder and harder to get hold of.
Are they louder than the 209 as well? What's the difference?
They are louder than the 209 primer. They've got, I think they're about 30 decibels louder, give or take. The only problem is with the 9mm stuff, as you can see on there, those are proof marks. They have to go to the proof house and be tested because they're firing a 9mm blank, and to make sure that they will withstand the pressures. Whereas anything that fires a 209 primer does not need to be proofed. So that's why a lot of companies have gone away from 9mm now and just gone 209s because they're loud. Yeah. They are loud. I mean, we've all played indoors when someone's dropping at your feet and your ears are ringing, and that's just the primer. So essentially, yes, you've got 209, you've got 9mm. Both of those are allowed at most sites.
So those are just noise grenades, essentially?
Yes.
So nothing comes out of them, it's just...
No, nothing comes out of them at all. They're just a small pyrotechnic grenade.
Cool.
A lot of the sites limit it on decibels. So they do the same with the hot burning pyro. So a lot of sites...
Double check the camera. You carry on.
A lot of sites you get Mark 5 is your limit. Some will allow Mark 7s. Very rarely will you have Mark 9s, which are the really, really loud ones. And then you can get stuff like that, which takes a 12 gauge saluting blank in it, or Thunder Flash. So it essentially takes a blank shotgun cartridge, which nowhere allows these to be used now, because they're just loud and a bit dangerous.
Yeah, well, one end by your feet in a hole.
Going back to how they work, these are the timed ones. So essentially, you take the top off, you put your blank in there, you have a reset pin. You have to take this pin out, you push the striker down, push your lever back in and put this pin in. And when you go to pull that pin out, when that comes out, there is like a Delrin piece on the inside, and there's a spring underneath it, and it relies on the friction of it being held in place. And all of a sudden the spring will overcome the friction and fire the pin up into the primer or whatever it is you've got in the top of it. They're generally 3 to 5 second delay, give or take. Really, really good if you want to kind of just throw one or roll one across the floor from one side of somewhere to somewhere else. Or
you've got that time before it goes.
Yes, and these are almost 99% of the time these are guaranteed to go off. They're not relying on any type of impact to set them off, because it's a sprung-loaded firing pin in there.
So what about maintenance on them? So obviously you've got working parts inside that.
Absolutely maintenance free.
Yeah?
Yeah, you don't open them up. They're just as they are. They will get slightly quicker after time, but they will never... I've only seen one where you pull the pin out and as soon as you let it go, it goes off kind of thing. They do last a very, very long time. And then you go on to... These are impact ones. So essentially there's a weight in the bottom with a firing pin which is sprung ever so slightly. When you drop it, that weight bounces and just throws the firing pin up.
Simple.
So you just literally pull the cord out and throw it on the floor, and as soon as it hits the floor, boom, goes off. So that's a single shot one. That's a Dynatex Dominator single shot.
This is all new territory for me, I mean.
Yeah. So essentially you just unscrew the top, put your 209 primer in there. You can just about see in the top there the little firing pin in that little hole.
Oh yeah. It's not completely straight though, is it?
No, it doesn't, because the whole thing rocks around.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. She's shaky.
There you go. But that's a single shot one. Now these are generally really reliable. I think I've only ever thrown one of these once where it hasn't gone off.
I've seen the thing on the string. Reminds me, we were at that when I was at the Airsoft game at Flambards.
Yeah.
Bit of a sore subject around the Airsoft community, but I did see someone have a grenade on a string. Yeah. And it made me laugh because we were in the arcade bit and they were on the outside, and the grenade kept going bang. You just see it slowly being dragged because it wasn't getting us. We were behind cover, and then bang. It's like, mate, you can just give up. But it was quite comical to see like a game of fishing essentially, and I'm like,
That's the big thing with reusable pyro is you take a risk every time you throw it because they can bounce and bugger off under a bush.
That's what you see in enemy players, just like wondering, go get my grenade.
Yeah.
I'm just like, as soon as you pick it up, I really.
The other downside is, as honest as we are as airsoft players, there are some unscrupulous, non-honest people, and I have, you hear a lot of it where people will throw a grenade and they'll carry on in their firefight and they'll go around and the grenade's no longer there because somebody else has picked it up. And I mean, they're not cheap. I mean, these are 60 quid a piece. So if you throw one on the floor and somebody else picks it up, you're going to be pretty annoyed about
Well,
that.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But that's just the risk you take with reusable pyro. But obviously, that's single shot, and then you move on to this is another Dynatex. This is the 6209. So
That's cool. Hang on, that was cool. Eh?
Is it a carry case?
Yeah. You just put it on your rig, and then when you want to get it out, you just.
This is what I mean. Like this is why, because I'm going to do something wrong, and that's going to go off in my face.
No, because you have a pin. You have a safety pin.
Okay.
So it can't go off the whole time that pin's there. It physically can't go off.
Right. Okay.
But this one has. If I can undo it. So there you go. You've got all of those. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put your primers in there. That's your firing pin there.
Okay.
In fact, I don't know if I can show you. There's a better way of.
I see, and that's why I can do.
Yeah. So once that's in there, you put your primers in there.
Do you just then spin that around then?
You spin it
Yeah.
around.
Okay.
So then you've got that which screws up on the bottom.
So that's
Just
for
to
me
hold everything in
feeling less
place.
fat.
So you can throw it and then you just undo it slightly and then flick it over to the next one and throw it again. This isn't the best one. Generally the best are these, which are the trays.
Yeah, I've seen lots of
But you
them.
can't get these anymore. These are only 3. So it's a multi-shot base. So they used to come with a single shot base. You could buy a 12 gauge base for them as well, so you can put 12 gauge adapters in there. But this one is.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them in CQB days.
This one just holds 3. So you throw it, bang, it goes off, and you just turn it to the next one, and again, turn it to the next one. Once your 3's up, that's it. In CQB, these things absolutely rock.
Mm-hmm. I've had one of them by my feet, and it's literally and they're brilliant.
Yeah,
What makes that a superior design over something like the Quake?
Well, the Quake is. They're all very similar in design, and the Quake came about because these were stopped. Production of these was stopped. It's essentially the same thing. You've got a weighted. So you've got a weight in the top part of it, which is attached to a firing pin, and when you throw it on the floor, it doesn't matter whether you throw it. If you throw it that way, it's going to land on that, and it's going to go off. If you throw it that way, the inertia from that hitting the floor forces the firing pin down anyway. So that's what it is. Hit and miss. I have thrown these underarm sideways because they're never going to land perfectly square on the edge, are they? They're going to land like that or like that. But again, generally they will go off.
Okay.
I've had 4 or 5 times where this hasn't gone off. Quite often then I'm like, have I flicked it the wrong way? Or, but yeah, so that's kind of your reusable stuff. And then you've got your hot burning pyro, which is your flashbang smoke, Enola Gay, kind of all of that stuff, where you've got your smokes and your Mark 5s and your thermobarics and your multi-bangs and your thunder flashes and
so many.
Yes.
So many.
All the incredibly named
Thunder Flash.
calls.
In all fairness, they are the coolest, especially like your multi-bangs, where you throw it, it goes off, and then you get 3 more bangs afterwards. I believe Flashbang Smoke has just made a 9-banger. So you throw it, it goes off, and then you get 9 more bangs after it. You have 3 which go off in quick succession, then another 3, then another 3.
Sounds cool.
Well, in fact, it's a 10-banger when it goes off. But it's the cost. Something like that, it's 20 quid a pop.
Just for...
And it's never seen again.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you go to chuck it in the doorway and it comes back? Gets you
Oh yeah,
like,
well, it's going to take you and the rest of your team out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some very, very cool things going on because I mean, theoretically, off the back of that, you can start looking at the mortar tubes and stuff like that as well.
See, I like the mortar tubes. What do they put down them?
It's a charge. It basically, when you have like the smokes and the grenades that fire at the mortar tubes, it's the same thing as a multi-bang. They just have a charge in the bottom of it that when it goes off, there's enough charge there to force it out the tube.
But you gas up the mortar. No. So how does it go?
Because it has an explosion. It's like a proper. Well, I said it's like a proper mortar. The explosion of that going off, the pressure built up because the end of that tube is capped.
Yeah.
It can't go anywhere but down that tube.
So you light a grenade, put it in the tube,
drop it in, and let it come back out.
Yeah,
the first explosion is it going?
Sends it off, and that sets a secondary fuse so that when it lands, it then goes off.
Right. Because otherwise it's just a metal tube. Yeah. They look really cool.
Well, essentially, that's all the launcher is.
Yeah.
A metal tube. Yeah.
But like I say, the downside to that stuff is the cost of it. Those mortars about £8 a round. So
when you get a few of them.
You think when we've been at site before, and there's people like Ashley and things like that who are literally Keno as well, and Josh. Yeah. Josh is another one. Yeah. They're popping them in like sweeties, just one after another, boom, 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 and these things are going out, and you're like, my God, you've just done 50 quid out of that in the last 2 minutes.
So that's
but that's for the immersion, isn't it? That's the immersion of the game.
It definitely makes it 100%, because when you hear those grenades going off, it is, not to sound cringe, but it is kind of terrifying, because you're like, oh no, it's coming closer, they've got pyro and they've got grenades, and it's like, we need to get hunkered down. And it does change then how you play, for sure.
It doesn't have to be that big though, because like, you remember back in the days of Tier 1, when you're indoors and you're in an enclosed environment, like any of those were, like in quick succession,
100%.
Made enough noise that you were like, you were shocked, weren't you?
Yeah.
There was a certain shock and awe.